A Joplin restaurant is asking for the public's help in finding a sentimental statue. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with why it's so important to employees and what the public can do to help.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
We begin tonight with breaking news out of McDonald County, Missouri. I'm Mike Mahoney. Thank you for joining us. Authorities are searching for 3 escaped inmates. According to the McDonald County Sheriff's Office, the 3 inmates attacked and overtook a detention center officer and escaped from the McDonald County Detention Center. 3 inmates are 23-year-old Sean Tavian Thomas. He's described as a black male, last seen wearing white pants and a white shirt. There's also 49-year-old David Molina. He's described as a Hispanic male, last seen wearing orange and white striped pants and a white shirt. And finally, there is 27-year-old Carmelo Burgos. He is described as a Hispanic male, last seen wearing an orange and white striped pants and no shirt. Authorities say if you have any information, please call 911. These subjects are considered very dangerous. 11 people from the Joplin area have now been federally indicted following the discovery of a body of a woman in Mayes County more than a year ago. According to a statement from Clint Johnson, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Oklahoma, the 11 defendants were allegedly involved in either the kidnapping and resulting death of Jolene Walker Campbell or threatening witnesses and concealing evidence to cover up their crimes. The 11 people charged are Chloe Stith, David Morris, Brianna Sloan, Morgan Bowman, Sarah Humbard, Megan Dethridge, Ariel Devine, Trey Ackerson, Lane Bronson, Jacob Scribner, and Kimberly Grissom. There are a total of 14 counts in the indictment, with each defendant facing different charges. The charges stem from the discovery of Jolene Campbell's body on July 15th of last year in a remote field in Mayes County within the boundaries of the Muskogee Nation. Officials say Campbell's death happened sometime between July 4th and 5th of last year. At this time, all but 2 of the defendants are in custody or on pre-trial release. Jacob Scribner and Kimberly Grissom remain at large. All right, let's switch gears and let's talk about today's weather. Here is meteorologist Nick Kelly.
Just more of the same, Mike. Hot and humid once again, but we kept things pretty quiet for much of the day, and at least we get a nice looking sunset as we start to wrap up our Saturday. 93 was the official high after we started very warm at 75 degrees this morning. Believe it or not, earlier this evening, I was keeping an eye on a stray storm near Howard in central parts of Val County, but that storm fizzled out. Much of us has been staying on the dry side this evening, but look just to the north. I'm plotting the surface arrows showing the wind right where the northerly and southerly winds come together in far northern Missouri, far northern Kansas. That's a front. That's not going to come our way, but it's just close enough that during the overnight we could see a few isolated storms in our southern counties. The lows drop to 74, and some isolated storms tomorrow afternoon with most of us back in the mid-90s. So we will see if we can keep this heat going, for better or worse, in the week ahead. Coming up here in a bit, Mike.
All right. Looking forward to learning about that. Thank you, Nick. Today's sunny weather made for a good day at the farmers market, and that's exactly what plenty of 4-staters were up to in Neosho this morning. There was no shortage of local produce and other foods, locally made crafts and other fun gifts, and even some live music for the visitors to enjoy. One of the vendors stepped away from selling fresh baked bread and other treats to tell KOAM what makes meeting prospective customers at the farmers market such a valuable experience.
The best part about markets for me is interactions with the people, and meeting hundreds of new people in a day is it's great. You get to see where they come from, what they're doing, and just have a great conversation is a fun time.
And if you'd like to learn more about the Reddings Mill Bread Company, check out this article on KOAMnewsnow.com. The Neosho Farmers Market happens every Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon, May through October in downtown Neosho. A Joplin restaurant is asking for the public's help to locate a stolen memorial for a Joplin tornado victim. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with employees of the restaurant who say they just want it back.
Following the devastating 2011 Joplin tornado, the city started creating butterfly statues to honor those lives lost in the tornado. They can be found all throughout the city, but unfortunately, in the past few weeks, one was stolen from outside of Stogie's Coney Island in Joplin.
The second weekend in July, it first went missing.
The butterfly outside of the restaurant belonged to managers Kelly Weaver and Christy Wagner's late grandmother, who passed following the tornado.
We just posted about it this week, and our customers and our loyal people have just been really accepting and posted a lot of kind things and shared it.
Their Facebook post has over 1,000 shares, with the hopes that their grandmother's memorial will be found.
Keep their eyes out for it, and we just wanted to share it, and the public has already had a great, I've already been more than happy with the public's response, and they're always more than supportive, and it's just so kind of them to come together and show their love and support.
Wagner says they placed the memorial in front of their family's restaurant to pay respect to their grandmother.
It was my grandma, and that we took over this. We had Stogie's in 1983, and she started. My mom and dad worked for her. We're the third generation restaurant owners, so there is a significance because they had Gene and Jane's Dairy Jane, which is very similar to what we have here.
They say if anyone knows who may have taken it or happens to find it, to call them.
If anybody sees anything, or if I don't know if they see it laying on the side of a road, they can just call us and we can have somebody go pick it up. Or, we're not wanting to get anybody into trouble. We're just wanting to get our butterfly back.
With Joplin already having such a strong sense of community, even 10 years after the tornado, they're confident their city will come together to right this wrong. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KUAM News.
It's now time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Tonight, we recognize Larry Rennick of Miami, Oklahoma. Rennick served as a colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and he fought in Vietnam and the Mideast. Thank you, sir, for your courage and your service. For more information on all our four-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Plus, a typhoon has already caused problems for Taiwan, and now it is heading for mainland China. And we're taking a closer look right after weather.
Shop Food for Less, where our neighbors.
Most of us stayed dry, but we've been spoiled so far for much of July in terms of keeping things below normal. So we continued our hot and humid streak that we kicked off yesterday, but at least it looked nice from start to finish from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. And as far as temperatures go, the past 36 hours from Joplin Regional showed how after we spent so much of this month with temperatures just below normal, we went back into the lower 90s yesterday, and we did it again today. After starting out quite warm in the mid-70s, we topped out at least 91 to 93 degrees for Joplin this afternoon. Even though it is still warm, it is still muggy. At least it looks nice with the setting sun contrasting against some clouds in the northern and northwestern horizon. But overall, we're calm in Joplin. But it doesn't feel so nice though. Still 82, the actual air temperature, but it feels like 88 with the dew point sitting at 74 degrees. Yeah, probably not ideal for outdoor plans, but thankfully these temperatures are trending downward after we hit the lower in the middle 90s today. 79 in Iola, 85 at Chanute, everybody else in the lower 80s, but you have to factor in the dew points, which certainly these are more familiar numbers. Anytime we get into the mid 70s, you don't need us to tell you it is soupy outside. Not only that, it makes it feel like it's still 93 in Chanute, 88 in downtown Joplin, 90 at Stockton Lake, 91 in Anderson. But everyone will drop back into the mid 70s overnight for a temporary break from the heat before we heat back up again tomorrow. Believe it or not, earlier this evening, I was keeping an eye on a rogue little thunderstorm in southern parts of Greenwood County, working into Elk County, but that storm fizzled out. We stayed dry for much of this evening, but look at this thin line of broken showers and storms just to the north. That is ahead of a front that won't quite work through, but this will play a role in our forecast for the next few days, including tomorrow. And the jet stream will play a role too. Weak waves riding along the edge of this upper ridge out west, but as soon as we go into next week, for sure to wrap up the month, it's all about this upper ridge, keeping us dry, but keeping us hot and downright humid. For the overnight though, we're starting out calm, but as soon as we go into the overnight, I'm not going to rule out some isolated storms in our southern counties. If these can materialize, they're not going to be too strong. Can't rule out some brief wind gusts around 40 miles per hour, maybe some brief heavy downpours. But most of us dry in the morning to start out with lows in the mid 70s. Then we go back into the lower 90s at least for tomorrow, maybe some mid 90s for some, while we deal with some isolated storms during the afternoon. Again, isolated should be the key here. Most spots should be dry, but regardless if you see rain or not, we start at 74, 88 by noon, highs topping out around 94 degrees. Any storms out there as we go into Sunday night will fade away with the setting sun. We'll be dry to start Monday morning out. Then we'll deal with a chance for some scattered storms as we stay in the 90s again for Monday. Now, those are air temperatures. Rain or shine, is going to be humid. It's going to feel like the triple digits between 100 and 105 for tomorrow afternoon. And after a little bit of a break from Monday, we'll be back into the upper 90s as we continue to head into the final week of July on a hot and humid note. 92 tomorrow, make that Monday, 93 Tuesday, and generally staying hot and humid with mid-90s from Wednesday to take us into Saturday, Mike.
Thanks as always, Nick. And Nick, we've got some more weather news here. A southeast Arizona community is fighting through leftover debris from a ravaging monsoon as they frantically search for a missing 4-year-old girl. Fox News' Brian Webb has that story.
The search area, a 3-mile stretch along the still swollen Cottonwood Wash, and seemingly half the community came here to help.
I got the message and I came out here as fast as I could, and we're digging and just have our fingers crossed. It's really, really sad.
The search includes a chopper, search dogs, personal ATVs and kayaks, and residents wading through knee-deep muddy water looking under limbs and debris.
It's really nasty down there. Debris is just piled up and everything. I mean, there's a couple spots that they have hits on, but we're not technically sure yet. They just have us away for right now.
The 911 call came in after 9 p.m. Thursday. A woman and 5 others forced to climb on the top of an SUV being swept away by a flash flood. 5 were rescued, but a 4-year-old girl was lost.
If there's a crossing and there's water in it, please don't cross. It affects so many lives.
It's hard to...
Look at the community. We're not going to accept this.
Police say a search dog made a hit near this bridge. So far, it's turned up nothing. But the recovery crews and residents of Pima aren't about to give up on a 4-year-old child.
Help. Look in debris. See if we can find that little girl.
A typhoon is heading for mainland China. Typhoon Yinfa is said to be barreling towards the country after dumping rain on Taiwan. The storm is packing winds of up to 95 miles per hour with gusts up to 120 miles per hour. Airlines are canceling flights to eastern China and cargo ships were ordered out of the area. The typhoon is expected to hit the coast south of Shanghai sometime between Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Firefighters continue their battle against the bootleg wildfire over in Oregon. Crews say that as of now, less than half of the fire has been contained while thousands of homes remain under threat. More than 80 large wildfires are burning around the United States, most of which are out west. So far, more than 1 million acres have been scorched. Right after the break, we are taking a look at the state of the pandemic here in the U.S.
The Delta variant is sending infection rates and hospitalizations upwards while vaccination numbers remain stagnant. I'm Charles Watson in Atlanta. I've got the details coming up.
Monday morning, we bring you the
mattress.
Health officials are once again urging Americans to get vaccinated as the Delta variant of COVID-19 leads to a spike in infections. Cases have nearly tripled nationwide in just 2 weeks, and health data shows the surge is almost entirely among the unvaccinated. Fox News' Charles Watson reports.
We have a pandemic among the non-vaccinated, those who are not vaccinated. If you are vaccinated, you are safe.
Cases of the COVID-19 Delta variant are on the rise across the United States. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say the 7-day average of new infections is up 53% from the week before. It now accounts for an estimated 83% of all COVID-19 cases nationwide.
Please take the Delta variant seriously. This virus has no incentive to let up, and it remains in search of the next vulnerable person to infect.
Unvaccinated Americans are reportedly driving up COVID-19 hospitalizations. For the first time since late last year, the 7-day average of vaccine doses going into arms is below 300,000 a day. Health experts are continuing to urge Americans to take the shot.
Even if a vaccine does not completely protect against infection, it usually, if it's successful, protects against serious disease.
As the Delta variant continues to drive up coronavirus cases across the U.S., concerns are growing over whether to revive mask mandates because of COVID-19 resurgence. The Biden administration says it's the CDC which dictates policies on masks. Some Republicans say they worry about who gets the final say.
Nobody elected the CDC. No one elected Tony Fauci to make these decisions. Advisors advise. Elected officials decide.
The White House says it's following the science on whether or not to tell Americans, even vaccinated ones, to mask up again. In Atlanta, Charles Watson, Fox News.
Anti-lockdown protesters in Australia lashed out against police today. Demonstrators who are angry at continuing coronavirus restrictions scuffled with mounted police units in Sydney. The protesters pelted police with potted plants and other projectiles, and law enforcement tried to force them to back off. Reports say at least 57 people among the nearly 3,000-person crowd were arrested during the incident. Anger is simmering in New South Wales over a 4-week lockdown implemented to contain an outbreak of the Delta variant. Around 32,600 COVID-19 cases and 916 deaths have been recorded in Australia. When we return, folks in our nation's capital are taking a stand against crime. And that includes DC's newest chief of police, who is speaking out about the situation. That story and more are next.
Nominate your force.
Welcome back. As crime surges in many places across the nation, Washington, D.C. residents, city leaders, and police are demanding action about the crime situation in our nation's capital. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson takes a look.
DC's police chief fired up while talking to reporters on 14th Street, a trendy upscale neighborhood where gunfire erupted Thursday night, sending patrons scrambling for cover. Chief Conti says he wants to put criminals away and not see them again for a long time.
Why is it that a guy who murdered somebody is out in community after having been arrested 2 or 3 months prior with a firearm? What do we think he was going to do? The recidivism rate for violent offenders is the highest that we've seen anywhere, 87%.
Just last month, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser said she wanted to cut funding for police. Now in a letter to residents, she wants the department to use, quote, any overtime necessary to stop the surge in crime. The mayor says the federal government bears some responsibility because they run the courts, which are not operating at full capacity. Quote, as of June 2021, there are 10,199 criminal cases pending. What does that lag in case processing mean for our community? It means more people are arrested and then immediately released. D.C. police posting this video showing 2 suspects leaving in the getaway car after Thursday night's shooting. Witnesses called it a war zone. Local residents complained to D.C.'s police chief that violent criminals are not staying locked up.
I see people doing violent crimes, and I see them back in my community months later. And it breaks my heart.
We've asked for police in the past. We need police now. We don't see them on bikes. We don't see them in cars.
The surge in crime not limited to our nation's capital. According to data analytics, there have been more than 4,000 murders in 73 cities so far this year. That's up more than 15% from this time a year ago. As if Chief Conti's job wasn't tough enough already here in D.C., he says he's over 200 police officers short and expects that number to grow. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
President Biden hits the campaign trail in support of the Democrat in the Virginia gubernatorial race. Fox News' Mark Meredith has the latest.
President Biden was back out on the campaign trail, reaching out to undecided voters ahead of Virginia's gubernatorial race that'll be happening a little bit later on this year. He's campaigning for the Democrat in the race, former Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe, and in his remarks on Friday night, he took a direct shot at his predecessor.
Terry and I share a lot in common. I ran against Donald Trump, and so is Terry. And I whipped Donald Trump in Virginia, and so will Terry.
But this year's election is a lot different from 2020. For instance, in Virginia, one of the most talked about issues is tied to education, with conservatives campaigning hard against efforts by some people to add critical race theory into the state's curriculum. This is the Republican in the race, businessman Glenn Youngkin.
There is a revolt against the way our schools have been managed comprehensively, and critical race theory is a big part of it.
As for President Biden, he's now 6 months into his term, but still facing a lot of questions about his agenda and how he can address the pandemic, the economy, surging crime, and global threats. And while the administration took somewhat of a victory lap this past week, new numbers from Gallup show the president's approval rate is slipping, with 50% of people now approving, 45% disapproving, and 5% offering no opinion. The president losing about 6 points in that approval since last month. However, Gallup says he still continues to have strong support from Democrats and fairly decent support from independents. Republicans, though, standing firm against the Biden White House. Although the White House is still hopeful Congress will get on board with this agenda, including those two massive spending packages, one tied to infrastructure, the other tied to expanding government social safety net programs. Traveling with the president in Wilmington, Delaware, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Back with more news.
Check out Mike Allen.
If you are looking for an excuse to have a margarita today, well, it's National Tequila Day. A lot of national restaurant chains were offering margarita specials in hopes of getting people to celebrate the day with them. Chili's even featured a $30 to-go margarita today. I wonder what's in that. Popular tequila brands are also getting in on the fun, with Jose Cuervo giving away biodegradable straws on their website and Don Julio donating some of its profits towards hospitality workers. The hard seltzer craze could be seeing its bubble burst. Boston Beer Company, the parent company of Samuel Adams and Craft Beers and Truly Hard Seltzer, says its earnings are down in the second quarter, largely because of an unexpected drop in hard seltzer sales. The company executive says they overestimated the second quarter growth in hard seltzer, causing a cut in projected yearly earnings. Shares dropped 18% after the company announced its financial projections. Well, don't go anywhere. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another look at your weather with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Danny Terzer. That's all coming up right here in your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, animal shelters around the country have a chicken problem, and it's related to the coronavirus pandemic. We have got that story and more right after the break.
In the eyes of your children.
.com.
Animal rights groups say people who took up backyard chickens for fresh eggs or a hint of farm life during the coronavirus pandemic are now taking them back to animal rescue sites. One such Chicago group, called the Chicago Roo Crew, has halted acceptance of chickens because of the mounting care bills. Shelters in several states are seeing returns as owners also run into local regulations concerning chicken raising. And it's not just chickens. Other animal owners are swamping shelters and returning animals like dogs and cats because of lost income or a return to the office. An Illinois man says he is being ticketed for flying the American flag in front of his business, but the city official who issued the ticket says it's a little more complicated than that. Fox News' Dana Placco has that story.
There's that old saying, you can't fight City Hall. Well, you can, because now I have an attorney and we are going to fight because I'm tired.
Terry Trobiani says he was just trying to celebrate the 4th of July when he placed 2 American flags on wooden poles in front of Gianelli's, his hot dog and beef business along Highway 176.
Next day, the village administrator comes in and he gives me a pamphlet of the sign ordinance pertaining to flags. He says, you might want to read this.
But just one day later, Trobiani says the village of Prairie Grove gave him 2 tickets for improper display, which he's now taped to his front door.
The American flag is a symbol of patriotism. It's not a sign. They're equating it with open, closed, dine in, dine out, product that you serve in a restaurant. That's why it falls under sign ordinance.
I love the United States flag. I'm a patriot myself.
Prairie Grove Village President David Underwood says Trobiani got ticketed because the flags were illegally too close to the road and could have blown into traffic.
It's disgraceful because he's using the American flag as a tool to further his business interests.
The flag fight has gone viral on social media, and Trobiani says he's getting hundreds of messages of support and people waving flags rallying at his business.
We had 50 people out here Saturday with trucks, horns, speakers, signs, support small business, support the American flag. The 2 ordinance violations come with a $200 fine. Trobiani says he plans to fight it in court next month, even if hiring a lawyer costs him more than just paying the fines.
We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly and another look at your weather. Stay tuned.
KOAM.
While it was nice that Mother Nature pretty much spoiled us for much of July, we had the heat and humidity kick back into gear this weekend. We certainly felt it yesterday. We did it again today with highs in the lower to middle 90s. Not much else to speak of weather-wise in terms of today, so no wonder why we had a quiet time lapse from sunrise to sunset from Indigo Sky Casino and Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri. And again, the Skywatch Storm Tracker, there was not much to track really throughout the course of the day other than some afternoon partly sunny skies. But as we got the late evening hours underway, to start the evening out rather, there was one lone little storm along the Greenwood-Elk County line. And as it dove toward Howard, it stalled out and it fizzled apart. So we're sitting quiet right now. But this is our main weather story. For much of southeast Kansas and northeast Oklahoma, these are heat advisories to take us into 8 o'clock tomorrow evening. That is because we are definitely going to stay hot, and we will certainly stay humid as we wrap up our final weekend of the month of July. 7th range line, at least we're looking nice outside. Quiet skies up top, but it's still warm. Boy, is it muggy. 82 degrees in Joplin, feels like 88, thanks to a dew point sitting at a soupy 74 degrees. Temperatures still pretty warm. Lower 80s in our northern counties, but you go to 85 in Chanute, 84 in Miami, including 85 in Welch. But you factor in the dew points, which are still very soupy in the mid 70s. It still feels like the upper 80s to lower 90s across much of the region. Fortunately, the numbers are trending downward. I'm thinking mid 70s tonight, while we're starting the late night out with not a lot on the radar. But note this very thin line of broken up rain and thunderstorms before it becomes more prevalent in parts of the Great Lakes. All those thunderstorms are ahead of a front that wants to try and come through, but it's going to stall out just to our north over the next 2 or 3 days. That's going to play a role in our forecast, in addition to a few weak waves right along just on the outer edge of this building upper level ridge that will really keep us hot and humid as we wrap up the month this coming week. In terms of tonight, I think we're quiet to start the overnight out, but as we go into the overnight, and certainly by sunrise in a few spots, we can't rule out a few isolated storms in our southern counties, mainly heavy rain, pockets of it being the biggest issues there. Then, as that front hangs around us just to our north, it's going to try to bring some energy in, bring us some isolated storms for the afternoon. But regardless if you see rain or not, it's going to be hot and humid again. 74 in the morning, 88 by noon, highs are 94. And if we see any isolated storms to start the evening out, they're going to fizzle apart once we get past sunset tomorrow evening. But as far as the humidity, that stays up there as well. So everyone in the mid 90s, factor in the humidity. It'll feel like 100 to 105 throughout the day tomorrow, and then maybe a little reprieve. Upper 90s to near 100, but it's still going to be hot and humid for Monday as we see this upper ridge really start to build back in. I'm not going to rule out a shower or storm on Tuesday, but for much of this week ahead of us, it is all about this upper level ridge, keeping us hot and humid to wrap up the month. 94 tomorrow, 92 Monday, 93 Tuesday. Then we are locked in with mid-90s, some hot and humid days for sure, Mike, as we wrap up the month ahead of us.
All right. Thanks so much, Nick. And stay tuned, sports fans. We'll be right back with Danny Terzer and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
Monday morning, we'll find out.
It feels like the summer season flew by. The Outlaws play their final regular season game tonight. Joplin is on the road taking on Jefferson City. The Renegades topped the Outlaws 5-2 on Friday. Tonight, Caleb Fearstake with a huge 3-run triple in the 9th. Joplin leads 6-0, and time is running out for the Renegades. It's down to the final 2 teams in Kansas Little League State Tournament, and 10U and 12U championship games are tonight. In the 10 and under game, Riverton faces Pittsburgh, picking this one up in the 4th. Pitch gets away. Jackson Schaub slides in home and makes it safely. And next inning, Mason O'Brien finds the grass in right. He'll make it to 3rd on the play. And then Tanner Atkins with a line drive to right. That brings in O'Brien, and it's 10-5 Pittsburgh. Fisher Horton gets the final strikeout of the game, and Pittsburgh wins 10-5, making them the 10 and under Kansas Little League state champions.
It was just exciting to see the kids pull through, pitchers pull through. Our catcher caught 6 innings, just absolute beasts back there. So it was just fun to watch every one of these kids just go out and give 100%.
In the 12U tournament, Baxter Springs and Pittsburgh are playing for the championship. This game in the 5th inning, tied 2-2. The Kansas City Royals are 17 games back, but looking to extend a 4-game winning streak tonight against the Tigers. The Royals took the opening game 5-3. In Game 2, Kansas City fights back from a 6-0 deficit to pull out the win, a 9-8 comeback victory. The Royals scored 5 runs in the 7th, including 2 3-run home runs by Salvador Perez and Carlos Santana. The Cardinals looking to respond to an opening series loss to the Reds on Friday. Tonight, St. Louis pulls within 2 in the 8th, but can't complete the comeback, falling 5-3. We're 50 days away from the Chiefs' first regular season game, and things are beginning to kick into high gear. Training camp has begun. The Chiefs return to Missouri Western State University for training camp this year. 30 players, including quarterbacks, rookies, and those returning from injuries, reported to camp this Friday. 3 practices will take place this weekend before the rest of the roster joins on Monday. Here's quarterback Patrick Mahomes on the energy heading into camp.
I think it comes with the culture that we have in this locker room. When you're going up against guys like Tyrann Mathieu and Chris Jones every single day and they're talking trash, you kind of have to have that competitive spirit or you're going to get dominated on the practice field. So I think it just comes with the guys that you have around you. Don't take a day for granted. And I think we've learned that if we put in the work now, it will be at the end of the season where we want to be at. So it's about putting in the work right now, day by day, getting better and better so that at the end of the year you have no regrets about what you did in the season.
Conference realignment has been a big topic in the college sports world as Texas and Oklahoma are expected to announce their departure from the Big 12, their intended landing spot, the SEC. The Big 12 Conference did hold a call earlier this week to discuss the reports Texas and Oklahoma representatives did not attend. The implications of such a move would be large, but at this point it's all speculation. We'll have updates as more sure-footed news is expected to be revealed in the upcoming days. And we'll be right back with more news.
Welcome back to your news at 9. 5 people were hurt Friday in Miami after a driver suffered a heart attack and crashed his vehicle through the front of a restaurant. Officials say the driver was initially trapped, but crews were able to pull him and his 2 children from the car. People inside also helped free one woman who was pinned to a wall. She and the others who were injured are in the hospital but are in stable condition and are expected to make a full recovery. The driver who had a heart attack will not be facing charges. A California restaurant that's struggling to hire employees is turning to some automated help to get food out to customers. Fox News' Christy Gross checks it out.
It's an autonomous food delivery robot, and it's as easy as loading it up, pressing some buttons, and sending it on its way.
Select corresponding table number after putting dishes on the tray.
It's the wave of the future, I think.
Antoinette Toll is a regular at Sugar Mediterranean Bistro in Stockton. But Friday, when she arrived at her favorite lunch spot with a friend, they were greeted by a new face.
Yeah, it loves you, see? It's amazing. I was not expecting to have service from a robot today. A new experience.
The autonomous food delivery robot is turning heads. The restaurant bought it to help support their limited staff. Like many businesses, General Manager Anna Ortiz says she has struggled to hire workers.
We have tried to pay more line cooks, pay more for servers, pay more for cooks and dishwashers and everything, and it's just like there is always somebody that wants to pay a little more.
She says before getting the robot, she would sometimes get behind serving tables on her own, and says while it's new, she believes it will make their jobs easier.
During the lunch rush, this thing is going to help me run back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and it's going to save me time and it's going to bring your food faster.
Servers can load up the robot with food and drinks and send it to customers with a touch of a few buttons. Ortiz adds while it's a fun addition to her team, it's no substitute for a human server.
I love to come to the table. I love to talk to people. And it's not gonna take that away from me, but it's gonna help me a lot. And they love the interaction with the robot though. They like to touch the button and send it back.
One of the reasons I'm such a fan of this restaurant is because of the people here. They make you feel at home. And, you know, when somebody says, well, hello, Antoinette, it's like, oh my gosh, they know who I am, you know? It makes me feel important. But this, I think, is the wave of the future.
The restaurant hasn't named the robot, but says customers can submit suggestions when they come in.
What do you tip a robot server? I don't know. All right, we're not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are headed to the Golden State, and you're going to learn about a rescue operation that involved airlifting a horse. That story and more are next. Welcome back to your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Two men take a 51-day trip traveling from Missouri to Mount Rushmore on horseback. Chris Rodriguez and Forrest Drury left Nevada, Missouri on June 1st and arrived at Mount Rushmore on Wednesday with family and friends waiting for them. Rodriguez and Drury had help from day one when a family they met offered them a place to stay after a camping site didn't work out. Their good luck continued from there, with each family knowing someone in the next town. Rodriguez says after 51 days of riding horseback, the ground feels pretty darn good. And speaking of horses, a horse took a ride through the sky in order to get out of a bad situation. That's over in California. The horse and its rider were out for a ride in Carmel Valley when they tumbled down a steep embankment. Firefighters and veterinarians worked to rescue the pair and airlifted the horse out in a harness. The horse broke free of its rescuers once its legs touched down. It was apparently frightened from the ordeal, but was eventually calmed down and transported away in a carrier van. Both the horse and the rider were unharmed. A London bar is serving up drinks not only for people but their dogs as well. The After Bark Lounge is a fun spot where dog owners can grab a drink for themselves and a pup tail for their pups. The bar features some plant-based drinks for the four-legged friends with names like a Bloodhound Mary and a Barkarita. The establishment even has shareable snacks that both humans and dogs can chow down on. I know my two dogs, that would like going to a place like that. All right. Well, thanks so much for tuning in on this Saturday evening. We'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Have a great night. Stay safe out there.